Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Vulnerability Time. We are officially here in season 5. It's great to be back. Okay, a couple things before we get started. One, please share this podcast. You never know whose life you're going to save by just sharing the podcast. Two, please leave a review of the podcast on Apple Podcast or wherever you're listening to your podcast from. Please leave a review. It really helps the algorithm. It really helps the podcast, get more noticed and all that good stuff. And third thing, so in the episode description below, we will have the video podcast link. So if you're wanting to watch the video interaction, please click in the episode description below and you will find the YouTube link. And with that being said, let us get started with whatever episode this is going to be, because I don't know what the episode is going to be right now, because this is a pre-recorded intro. Yes. Alrighty, with that being said, welcome to season 5 of Vulnerability Time. Oh my gosh. So, new special guest. It is Daniel. Daniel, hey Daniel.
Hey man, what's going on? What's going on, guys?
I was telling Daniel when me and him had talked previously, I was like, you've been on my mind to ask to be on the podcast since season 3. So, yay, here you are. Uh-oh.
Sorry.
Oh no,
Yep,
you're fine.
sorry. As soon as you started talking after that, it immediately just disconnected for a second. Sorry about that.
Oh, we love that. We love that. That's okay. Sometimes I was just mentioning how I spoke to you previously
Mhm.
about, and I was telling you how sorry, my camera freezes a little bit sometimes. But I was how I was previously speaking to you um and telling you that, ever since season 3, I was like I've wanted you on the podcast since season 3. Just
Thanks so much.
based off our minimal interactions in person, it just always gave that welcoming, healing, just comfortable aura and comfortable vibe. And so, yeah, you've been on my mind since season 3. Daniel, tell us before we start. Tell us a little bit about you, Daniel. You're an educator, right?
Yes, I'm a teacher. I'm a high school teacher. I teach English. Um, I've graduated from my university with my bachelor's in 2019, and then my master's in 2021. And so been teaching English now. I taught a little bit in grad school, but I've been educated for about 5 years, I think probably.
Okay.
So,
Oh, was it Lamar University you graduated from?
yes,
Or
yeah,
did you transfer?
yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Good.
And just for
Okay, great.
privacy's sake, I'm not going to mention the high school, but I mean, if people know me and listen to this, like they'll know. But
Right,
yeah, cool. But yeah,
no,
Lamar.
yeah.
Went to Lamar, had a great, yeah, total of 6 years. Good lord, um, yeah, and
Happened.
did it well. So got it
Oh,
done. Got everything done.
that's so cool. Oh my gosh. What? I don't think there's ever been a teacher on the podcast.
Oh, I'm glad to be the first.
That's really
I
awesome.
represent well.
Wow. Oh, the power to just grade papers. Listen, I that's always something that interests me. I don't know. I've always wanted to grade papers.
I
I don't know what it
You
is,
don't.
but
You think you do. You
I think so. I
think you
think
do until you've got I have 83 students right now, and they just finished. I just finished grading their
Oh.
rough drafts, and probably about 4 pages each, and I had about a week and a half to grade all of them. So on top of like all the other stuff, man, sitting there, I finally finished today. I finished doing 20 of them. It took me almost the whole
Mhm.
day between like regular teaching and then planning and like the grading scale.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, dude. It's it's something else.
Oh.
It's mainly the problem isn't necessarily the grading itself. It is when because they get selections on what they can write about in my class. And it's when
Mhm.
like you get a group of people that wrote all about the exact same thing. It's not
Same
written the
thing.
same way, of course, it'd be cheating, but
Right,
like,
right.
but goodness, it can become tedious real quick. But with all of that, it sounds like I'm complaining a lot, but I do love my job. Regardless of that, that's probably the most negative thing about it is just having to spend so much time grading.
Okay, well, when you put it like that, I like the idea of grading. There you go. Because yeah, because I was just like, yeah, just kidding on the tedious stuff. Just kidding. I didn't think of that. Um, I remember like in elementary school. Obviously, I don't know if they should have did this. I don't know because what. But anyways, every now and then, this happened in fourth grade. We would grade the persons or the people at our tables. Like we would switch papers and then grade it.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
I don't know. Have you ever done that when you were a kid?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We did that. I even did that in college. I think we did that in my comp class. I mean,
Really?
yeah,
Okay, so yeah, I feel more comfortable college students doing it. But elementary, I was just like, what if I don't like someone? What if they don't like me? I was like, petty marks.
right.
Just,
That was the big deal. It's like they'd mark you for everything. I remember someone did that to
yeah.
me because English was like one of not one of my only strong subjects, but my strongest subject, and so like
Hmm.
I did kind of okay at it, and they did fine too. But they were just they just got mad at me one time because the teacher liked it a lot, and then they were like they had to do a peer review, and they just kind of marked me for every little thing. But you know,
Right, right.
um,
Yeah, gotcha. They're like, fuck you, fuck you.
basically.
Yeah, okay. Well,
And I'm just like, you got
love
me in
that.
math. Like I have a D in math. Like you have like a really high A. Like why are you mad at me?
Oh man, oh math.
Dude,
Oh, I'm so glad I don't have to I don't have to take math classes anymore. I'm really glad about it. Man, I hated math.
same.
Ugh.
Yeah, I don't. I think I
I've
took.
always been strong at English slash composition. Always loved it.
Yeah,
I mean, me and you, we're poets. We write, so I mean,
right.
obviously, we would be that would be like one of our strong subjects.
Yeah.
Um,
How about
yeah, hit
grammar?
me with a number. Hmm?
I was gonna say, how does but with the there's the creative writing and like literature side, and then grammar. How are you with like the grammar side? Because like I'm even willing to admit, like I had to take like advanced grammar or whatever in college, but dude, like it's so hard.
Yeah, I'm not the best at it, but I'm not the worst at it. I'll say that.
I'm about the same.
Yeah, I am submitting um I'm publishing one of my uh scholarly book reviews with one of my old professors, right? And
Oh, nice.
I love that man. No, I really do. I had a crush on him. I've always had a crush on him. But anyways, um he he told me at the last minute, and it wasn't necessarily his fault, but he told me at the last minute that I need to make a lot of minor corrections. And I'm assuming that's like obviously like grammar, maybe my punctuation's off here. Because when I look at it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that looks pretty fine to me. But at the same time, I was like, okay, if it looks fine to me, that means there's probably need someone to look this over. And I'm not going to pay for Grammarly. So what I'm going to do is I I mean if there's like a free subscription of Grammarly, then totally I'd use it, but
I
if
think they
it's
have
not, I'm
like
not paying.
for one of my students tell me they have like a free like little thing you can use. They have like some things, but you have to unlock other stuff.
Okay. Because I just need to be able to submit this paper in Grammarly and get some. I'll check it out. It's been on my mind, and so but it's weird because it's like I don't know. Here's my second book, right?
Hmm.
It
Wow.
by the release of this episode, it will be officially. It's already published, but it will be released
Heck yeah, dude.
4/20. So April 20th, 2024. It'll be released on Amazon and all platforms. Everyone check the episode description below for more details. But yeah, I already talk about the book at the outro, but yeah. Go buy it, folks. It's a self-awareness interactive journal notebook.
Do it.
If you If you think you know yourself, or if you want to learn more about yourself and others, I mean, you these prompts in here will really make you look into self-awareness. And it's amazing. Like some of these prompts are like very profound, and some of them are not so profound. You also can do some drawing in here and some symbolism and stuff like that. It's it's very healing. It's very, yeah. I love it. I really love it. Amazon loves it. I sent it to them to review it. Um, yeah.
Fantastic, man.
So
Yeah.
yes. So
Heck,
folks, to get into our topics, we will be talking about. Let's see. Um, let's see. Okay. So being slaves to our passions. And then also, well, here's the full message that you had sent when I
oh,
asked. I was like, "Hey, what you would like to talk about?" Okay, so you chose one of the topics, being slaves to our passions, and then oh, sorry, let me just read the whole thing. You
you're good.
said dopamine, obviously chasing dopamine, and being slaves to our passions relate as they are things that you think about on a daily, especially in our hedonistic culture. What does hedonistic mean before we get
Yeah.
into our topic?
Hedonism is a philosophy of
Oh
basically.
yeah, duh.
You're good. You're good. But it's a philosophy basically of, you know, getting pleasure, just getting like life. It's not is it doesn't have to follow like any kind of nihilistic like nothing matters type philosophy,
Right. It's
but
just
your main goal is obtaining pleasure and avoiding pain basically. And so with that, um you notice, I mean, I'm sure we all in some way notice that that's a dominant idea for a lot of people. It's not the main way people live obviously, but there are
right, but
definitely
it is
hints.
noticeable.
Yeah, there are definitely hints
Mhm.
within our culture of basically, yeah, it's pretty hedonistic, give into your cravings, don't deny yourself things, just try to obtain, get that money, get power, get ahead, and that, to me, especially personally, that's why I'm passionate about this topic is dangerous. Honestly, it's just a very dangerous idea. Now that's not saying, go be a monk, go be an ascetic, and
Uh,
just like,
right.
yeah, like don't, give yourself good things. You're a human being. Of course, you want
Yeah.
things. It's normal,
Mhm.
but it's the amount. I think we don't have a lot of moderation for anything
Mhm.
much anymore. We just take in excess, so yeah, that's just something that I think about just often, and it kind of permeates within, like you said, we're both writers. It permeates a lot of my writing. um you know Advertisements and the way we're presented certain things within our life. Like,
Mhm.
it was funny. You actually asked me to come on, asked me about the topic, chose that topic. I kid you not. I think it was that day or the day after that I got a app that I won't name for certain reasons, but
Yeah.
it uh it was basically it was a notification to order something. It was a food delivery service, and that's all I'll say. And it said, "Don't deny your cravings." And I was like, "Oh, you're just telling me to give in to anything." Like it's those small little things
Mhm.
that I'm not. It's not some kind of conspiratory thing. It's not me going, "Oh,
Right.
they're poisoning our minds, man." With it, but there are
Right.
certain things within advertisements that certain rhetoric is presented to you that you're like,
Mhm.
"Oh yeah, I'm presented with a new idea. I think I'm gonna follow that." There's a reason advertising works.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
yeah, man, just things like that. I know. Sorry, that was
Well,
very long-winded.
you said what?
I said sorry, that was very long-winded, but
No, no. We that's this is what the podcast is for. We talk. Nothing's long-winded. There's no such thing as talking too much on a podcast.
fair.
Yes, yes. Well, at least this podcast, at least vulnerability time. Um, okay, that was very wise and thought provoking.
Thank you.
Can you go a little deeper? I usually don't ask this, but I'm curious. How is this more like um affected you in a way that may seem dangerous, or a way that has hurt you in some way, or a way that you've healed in? You know, go a little deeper, more personal.
Yeah, I'll definitely get. I don't mind. Yeah, I don't mind that at all. So basically, for me, it has shown a lot in immense boredom and basically decision paralysis is a big part of it
Mm,
because we're so bogged down, and I'm just one person, right? So this is my own personal experience, but we're all so bogged down with watch this new show, get this new food, get this new thing, get this new what piece of clothing, accessory, whatever it is.
mm,
And we don't there's no idol that like the mainstream world follows necessarily that necessarily tells you hey, maybe you don't need that thing. Maybe you
mm,
could instead discipline yourself instead with this certain thing, moderation. And so for me, I fall a lot into laziness. I'm willing to admit that it makes me very, like I said, with that decision paralysis of, for me, it's with entertainment. For me, it's with like movies, TV shows, books, comics, manga, stuff like there's so much of it that it creates this idea of like FOMO, a fear of missing out on like, oh man, I gotta
mhm,
have that next thing. I gotta do that next. I gotta get ahead of this thing so I can be in the know. I have to know. I have to know. You don't. I don't.
right.
No, it's okay. Like you don't have to have that new food. You don't have to get that new accessory that everyone's getting. You
Mm,
don't have to do that. But for some reason, the more that we see these things around us from our friends, our family, the norm within culture, and this even dives deeper into like, some like darker topics of like, the pornography industry or even,
oh yeah, I was about to hit on that too. I was about to hit on that after
oh yeah, man. And no, that
yeah.
that is horrible. Yeah, and also quick caveats, real quick little asterisks. I want to explain real quick to the viewers and people listening. Right, this is me coming from. I'm a religious person. I'm Catholic, so I want to like express that so that I'm not, trying to maintain too much of a
Mhm,
bias here because I speak. While I do maintain my religious beliefs, I try to speak from also to secular people who don't follow these things because this isn't just a religious issue. Um,
mhm,
this addiction to dopamine, this addiction to our pleasures, we, even just like small things like I like cigars, I like tobacco every now and then, right? So yeah, smoke a lit, not great for your health, but good for the brain. It's something
mhm,
that I have to watch in moderation. That's something you have to. But with things like vaping, or like I said, with getting back to the pornography industry, right? Most of the people are trafficked, and I wish that kind of got more attention. But
yeah, I
that's the
agree.
thing, and but that's the thing that happens with it though, because I mean, both, guy, I feel like we can be honest. I mean, we've probably seen a bit in our time, right?
Oh yeah, that's my
So,
addiction. That's one of
yeah,
my addictions.
yeah, there we go. So I mean,
Oh yeah.
with that, like the thing that doesn't get talked about is how numb it makes everybody to things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, I think I've heard you talk about this before also in one of your episodes or something. But
Oh my
uh,
God, you listen?
yeah, I've listened to a few of them before I came on here. I will say
Oh.
mainly snippets. Sorry about that, but
Yeah, no, no.
but
I listen, I don't listen to my podcast at all, so you're doing
really,
better than me. I don't like podcasts. I can't sit there and just listen all day. I can't. I but that's just me. Anyways, continue.
no, I get you. No, I'm kind of I'm sometimes I'm the same way. I kind of be in the mood. That's one reason.
Mhm.
And so, but yeah, it's detrimental, and that's the thing. Sometimes it can become that numbing feeling to where, and it sounds horrible, but you know the idea of, oh, that person's traffic, oh, I don't care, I'm going to watch it anyway, when
Right.
we wouldn't do that for any other thing. You know what I mean? Like we wouldn't do that for anything, right?
Mhm.
Especially if we knew that person, right? Like,
Mhm.
so it's things like that, that especially, but even more lower things than that, food, entertainment. Think of, like, and I sound like an old person. I'm only 26, but but sorry for all the old people listening if you don't think like this, but basically, just kind of, I sound like I'm just dogging on, like, youth and the mainstream and stuff like that. But I'm not trying to do that. There are certain good things within it. I'm
Mhm.
just saying the dominant idea within
Mhm.
a lot of pop music, or even some hip hop music, even some metal music. I listen to metal and punk music, even some of that stuff. Like, it
Mhm.
pushes this idea of get power, get money, succeed, screw everyone else. Like,
Mhm.
focus on yourself, and that continually creates this idea of, okay, so I need to just make sure that I'm okay, and everything revolves around me, and the more that I get pleasure, the happier I'll be, right? And
Yeah, it's kind of like that mentality of it. I feel like it intentionally makes us to internalize the principle, one of the principles of it, which is get from this person, get from person. It's like, what about give as well, and I found myself um and this has been huge um a huge wake up call yesterday. But a lot of the times, it turns out I wasn't genuinely giving. I was subconsciously giving with some type of expectation of getting something. It can be the smallest thing, And so I read an Instagram post the other day, and I went to my journal notebook that is published on Amazon, and it just really helped me to it really helped me to um just see that I'm not genuinely giving how I think I am, and I'm subconsciously getting in a different version because it's just like my intent is with an agenda, and it's not like genuinely giving. And I have to sit back and think about it. I'm like, I didn't, I never noticed that about me, But after doing some self reflection and journaling, um, and seeing that Instagram post, I was like, wow. And what the post was saying is there's obviously multitude of reasons why people don't genuinely love, but that's that's what the post was saying. It was that same principle though of get, and though it on the outside it may look like we're giving, really unintentionally or intentionally, we're trying to get um, with our agenda. We might not even notice that because that's the subconscious, you know, which the subconscious is the most silent, loudest thing ever.
oh
I
yeah,
mean, it's so silent because you don't really recognize it as you're doing it, but it's so loud because it's like the actions are right there. We just can't see it. That's the subconscious for you. So, you know, I I definitely can relate to what you're just saying. I definitely can tie that in because as I'm now like discovering, okay, like when did this happen? Why is it so strong within me? And I'm sure there's multiple things. But what you just said, I actually needed to hear. Um, it just helps me put some pieces together of
I'm
the
glad.
why, rather than the it. It's more the why. That's how, listen, that is how I feel.
Yeah, that's how
I'm
you know
just
yourself.
like, yeah, like honestly, like if you want to remove a tree, what is the best way to do that? It's not cutting off the branches, it's not cutting off the leaves. you can cut off the trunk, the tree's still gonna be there, but you gotta uproot it. So you gotta get to the root, the source. And so what you just said helped me to get to the root and the source
I'm glad.
of um, yes.
I'm so glad. Oh wow. Yeah, good. I'm yay. I'm glad I came on. I'm glad I'm able to say something of substance. And again, it's not meant to be. I'm just as guilty as anybody. I'm in this society too.
Right.
I'm also, like, and that's what I was saying. Like a lot of it just may, I don't thankfully have been able to fend off some like envious tendencies, but like I said, it's that decision paralysis and that laziness of like I'm not gonna get my own personal work done that is hard to do and is worth doing. Instead, I'm gonna, do the easy thing because that's what my brain is now trained to do. Uh,
Mhm.
you know,
What
and
is
so
decision paralysis?
so decision paralysis typically is when you have, it's kind of like that feeling of you have so much going on, so you decide to do none of it, right? Um,
Mhm.
and you're paralyzed. You don't know exactly what to do. It's not like I'm at least I'm not sure if it's like a legitimate like medical thing. I don't think it is, right? But it's more of like the kind of like saying writer's block. It's you.
A cat.
Oh yeah, this is this is my wife and I's
Oh my
cat.
god.
He got in trouble, so he's with me.
He
Say
got
hi.
in trouble. He just peeked in the camera, everyone who's
This is
listening to
Quill.
this. His cat peeked into the camera, and I nearly lost my soul. That's
Yeah,
so adorable. Oh my
thanks.
gosh. Oh,
Oh,
two things. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh, you're good. No, no, no. Two things. What's up?
Did that okay. That what did that look like a figure back there, or was that just because
No,
it was
I didn't
blurry?
see anything. I think it's because the blur unblurred for a second.
Right, it unblurred. Okay, gotcha, gotcha. Because Daniel, this is the room. When I was 15, yeah, when I was 15, I killed myself,
Oh my God!
and that's how I got to meet Jesus and some others. Some
Wow.
others. I'm not gonna get too much into it. Folks who've been listening to the podcast since season one, you already know. Um, anyways, it's in this room. This household in general has had a lot of traumatic, demonic things that I've seen. But anyways, sorry. Let me get back
No,
to
you're fine. I'm just glad you're. I'm glad you're
part
here,
two.
man, and I'm glad that that negative space has become a place of healing for you rather than just a memory of what happened. You know what I mean? Like,
Right, right, right. Oh yeah, 1000%, 1000%. Um, the first thing was when you mentioned about um being in that whole like get me thingy, that is how do I say this? That has given me growing up, obviously, that has given me insecurities. Get this, get that, and if you don't have this or that, you're something less,
mhm.
when that is actually not the case. Like for example, in middle school, right? I didn't care to wear name brand stuff. I just didn't. I didn't even know that that was a thing, and then people would see that, and they would assume that I don't have any money or this or that, and uh, that is false, right? My pa- how about this? This is something wise that I thought about the other day. Um, and the only reason why I'm saying this next part, folks, is to give the situation more context.
Mhm.
But my parents were wealthy, right? Um, I lived in a custom-made house, but
Oh,
our
nice.
fridge was empty. The fridge
Mm.
was empty. So
Oh,
this tells you where their priorities were. I just want to put it out there. If I could have. a family instead of the money, I would. I would trade it for all the money in the world. I literally would. But it's not like really got to enjoy the money anyways. But I'm saying that for context speaking. It's all gonna make sense in a bit. Um, I didn't have the name brand stuff, right?
Mhm.
And people like I remember I was sitting in the lunch line and this one guy he started bullying me, right? Making fun of me and stuff like that. Like, what are those shoes? And this was before the whole what are those? This is before the whole, viral thing. What are those? This person, right? He he was bullying me and he got his friends to bully me and stuff like that. And eventually that started getting to me, right? They have become victims, and I mean we're in a society we all are can become a victim in some sense of
Oh, in any
society's
way.
agenda. Yeah. um but he had become a victim of the get me mindset, right? And so eventually that just really started to get to me, right? And
Mhm.
so in high school, the start of my freshman year, I was like, I'm not going to school unless I have the most expensive shoes, the most name brand stuff. And this is the thing, all that expensive name brand Nike shoes, athletic wear, that's not even my style. However, that whole get me mindset, um, it caused a lot of insecurities. It caused a lot of it definitely affected my finances. And that's what I'm getting to is like the whole get me culture is kind of like it preys upon it creates insecurities and then preys upon those insecurities.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Yeah, it's like, "Oh, hey,
yeah,
do
and
you hate
so
yourself? Buy more." Right?
sorry, say that again.
"Oh, hey, do you hate yourself? Buy more. Consume more.
Yeah,
You'll feel better with more. Get more."
right. And
You
then
know?
like people will like look down on the person that hasn't fallen victim in that aspect, and then it will make them feel like I'm tired of feeling this. Um, I don't want to feel like I missed out anymore. And so it just becomes this whole cycle, and that's what's always thrown, like you said, that's what's always thrown in our faces. People are going in debt to pay for the release of these shoes, you know what I mean? And it's like it goes also into that get me mentality that you were just saying. It also can go into that being our worth, that being tied to our worth. And therefore, we in a sense eventually become slaves
Oh, yeah.
to it. And like you said, slaves to our passions. And for example, like we're giving our efforts and resources for something that gives us false security, false worth. That is a form of slavery.
Mhm,
And so, I definitely have been victim to it. Um, I remember like recently, like a year ago, right?
mhm.
And I'll just be honest, it's vulnerability time. I like
Yeah.
to throw myself under the bus slash humble limousine. I have this for folks who are listening. This is what looks like an Apple Watch, right?
Mhm,
It's not an Apple Watch. It's some type of Fitbit or some type of smartwatch from China. And I bought it because I don't want to fall prey again to the whole get me movement, get movement, you know.
yeah. Hell yeah.
But I was like, I also don't want to be looked down upon. And you would think after all this self healing, or excuse me, not self healing, self care, self love journey that I've been on, that I wouldn't care about, oh, what someone's going to say. Um, so I was like, what's a way that I can not fall prey, but at the same time appease others? and that's to get something that looks like the most expensive thing. And that's the thing, though I actually like what I got. I like this fake Apple Watch, quote unquote. I like it. It's even made people say, "Oh, I like your Apple Watch," and I just say thank you. But
Yeah.
after like sitting back and just doing some self-awareness while you're speaking, it helped hold me accountable to um my actions in this, and obviously, it's those actions have been done to me, so now I'm like, kind of continuing it in my own life. Um, it's kind of like they just passed the baton
Oh yeah,
enough
man. We
to
all
where I
we
started.
we all carry those
Yeah,
traumas, dude. We still have healing to do. We won't really finish
yeah,
till we're dead, but it we can
right.
get there on the
I
way.
felt like uh throwing myself out there is not only gonna help me, but maybe can help others if they're feeling like me, if they're done something like me. Because I've carried a lot of, I don't want to say, oh,
Sorry.
I don't want to say, look at your reaction. That was funny. I don't want to say a lot of shame, but I've carried a small amount of, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it's something that doesn't serve me. So
Mhm.
I carried it, you know, by just the action of buying this thing that's not an Apple Watch, because I'm like, they're not going to get my money, but also, buying it to appease others. Um,
I
I
mean,
remember one time I had like these Bluetooth headphones, right? And they looked like AirPods, right? Then again, I was in that mentality of I don't want people to like look less of me and think less of me, even though I know objects don't define my worth at all, literally at all. And it took me a long time to 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 believe that, because at first the words would just sound great, but it took a
right.
while for me to actually believe it, and but yeah, and I remember this one person, an acquaintance of mine, he was like, "Ew, what are ew, what are those? Those aren't AirPods," And I told him, I was like, "Listen, I I get I get to listen to music while I walk without wires for like 30 bucks. You paid over 200 for some AirPods that are going to break in like a year and a half,
And the
you
yeah,
know?
and the quality of the sound is barely better. Like a minuscule amount. They're
Yeah,
not that good.
right. And exactly. And I say all this to say, and I'm tying in what you were saying as well. I'm combining the two and just to tell folks, your worth is not defined by the objects or what they're telling you this is what you should have, or you'll be cooler if you do have that. Um, I promise you, people will find something else to bitch at.
Oh yeah.
Once you have the items, you can have it all, and somebody will find something, or just put yourself in front of society, like you can have all of it, the great body. There will be something. Someone's gonna pull something up from your past, or they're just gonna make up something. You can be perfect, you can have it all, yet still not have enough.
Yeah. We're all we're so quick to judge. Like and that's
Yeah.
it's almost instinctual for some of us, right? It
Oh, of
like
course, that's all we've been taught.
yeah,
Yeah.
just judge everything immediately. But don't. That's the thing. Like, and while you were talking, like hearing those things that happened, and hearing what you've been through with all that, like, and that's the thing. It kind of makes you want to tell, like, wish that kids and like younger, our younger selves understood or could say something to where it's just like, yeah, my shoes are different based on, and like that's bad based on what? That's
Right,
bad based
right,
on what? Your mentality? I have to
right,
please you. You know what I mean? Like, no, you're an
right.
individual. You're an individual. And as much as, we all want to belong in some way, so we do small things, but
Yeah.
it's it, maintain your individuality, maintain that you're a different person from the rest of us. And in doing so, some people will disagree with everything we're saying and go out and be hedonists. And that's their lifestyle choice. That's what they, like it doesn't matter what we say. That's what I'm saying. Like you're an individual. You make your own choices, allow others to do the same thing. Like it gets us nowhere whenever everyone's just trying to make it and then everyone just decides to make it harder for everyone else. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
like
And that's beautiful. Like, and that's beautiful what you just said. Yes, folks don't just, and I'm speaking to me heavily. Don't forget to care about your neighbor as well. Yes, you are so important. So are they. So are you. So like Daniel was saying, um take maybe it's a good practice to maybe practice things for and practice excuse me practice moderation on things
yeah,
to where
and
you can
it's
like a healthy balance. Like, yes, you can genuinely love to do the get me things, but also remember to give, you know, your awesomeness to others as well. You have a lot of gifts, your personality, someone may, need you. You may be an answered prayer to someone. You may be a manifestation to someone. You may be the personality that makes someone not go home and commit suicide, right? You may be that, but because we have been taught to be so get me, we forget how to give. We
yeah,
forget what that looks like. And others and ourselves suffer because of it. But guess who's not suffering? The ones who are the higher ups who are getting all of your money. They're not suffering. They're living their best life while we're the ones we think we're getting, but so, I mean we think we're like it's we think we're doing it all perfectly. We're getting the new items only to like appease others and
if you if you keep the masses drunk on happiness, they won't get upset when you do something stupid. And
mm,
right? I mean, if we're so, and then
right.
it also turns into apathy. That's the problem. It's like you
That's
develop
what I
this
was trying
want
to
for
get at.
pleasure, you get the addiction, you become numb, and then you're apathetic. And then you don't.
Tell us about what apathetic is,
So
really
apathy, the
quick.
complete disinterest and lack of care for whatever the certain thing is, but typically in general of anything. And I notice this, especially teaching students, right? They can be pretty apathetic towards like their work, so you see it in small ways like that. But also we see it when we engage too much with a lot of what we're sold, you know what I mean? Like I said, like I keep bringing it up, but like especially I just advertisements are a big part of it. I know that big kind of,
Yeah.
it sounds like ads, man. Like, but I don't mean it like that. I just mean, like I said, there are certain things that we're sold, that we're given through apps, through social media, through television, through streaming, whatever it might be. And streaming is a whole other different thing. Can you imagine having to wait for your next episode of something? Oh my God, who would think?
I hate it. I can't wait. Oh my God, it destroys me. And I was just like, it never used to be like this.
It wasn't
It
that bad.
never used to be like,
Right, it wasn't
right?
that bad. We were around for that time where it was on TV, and like I said, this makes me sound old and being like, oh, you can't get with the
Shut up.
times,
You're
old man. It's like,
26. We're
nah,
Gen
man.
Zs.
Right,
I
but at the same time,
know
like
what you
I
mean.
said,
I know what you mean.
it's just like the idea of, yeah, man, but it's bad for your head. Like, it's not good for you. um to just constantly consume. Like I said, with that apathy can, can affect not just your want for pleasure, but different aspects of your life. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to just be something you do when you're watching a movie or engaging in something you wouldn't typically. Right? It's something that you can hear like the worst news of your life, and you're just like, yeah, I don't care. I'd rather just go be happy and do whatever,
Hmm.
whatever's gonna get me out of this
Right.
pain, because I can't deal with the pain. This also comes under the notion that suffering, like, and I don't mean that this is a big thing to say, kind of, but this also kind of goes underneath the umbrella of thinking that suffering is inherently bad, right? You can't
Right.
get muscles unless you work out, and that hurts. You are suffering, right? Like, and that's what I mean by that. I don't mean like, just if you're fighting a horrible disease that
Right. We know what you
into all that, right? But I just don't want to be misconstrued.
right.
but
Yeah,
but that
right.
idea though is it denying yourself things and enjoying things in moderation, even though that it might feel like it hurts you in some way, is not a bad thing. You're growing in discipline, you're growing your will, you're growing maybe even your sense of integrity or honor, right? Like, being a virtuous person doesn't have to, one, equal religion, and two, completely destroy your entire life. It can help your life, it can
Right.
help you be a better person to others, realize the things in your life that aren't working for you, and why, you might feel nothing sometimes. Have you noticed the
Right.
amount of people that are just like, oh yeah, like the casuality of everyone's depression? I'm glad that the stigma is kind of going away and everyone's speaking about it, but the irony that is underneath everything that everyone says, that, you know what I mean, that should tell us something. That should
Right.
mean something to it. That should communicate something to us, that something's not quite right. Yeah, that people are,
Yeah.
out there speaking about it. Fantastic, great, good. Yeah, let people know you have anxiety, let them know you have depression. It's okay. You're not alone, right? But at the same time, right, why are we just casually mentioning it and then no one doing anything? you know
Hmm.
like, it's like, oh yeah, and I don't mean to poke fun at suicide at all or anything like that, but the idea of the dramatic. I hear teenagers say it all the time, oh, I'm gonna kill my, I can't handle it, right? It's like,
Hmm.
okay, what is making this okay for this to just be said? Like, for this to just be a common thing that people say when they're overwhelmed. This is a very serious issue. Why is it
Right.
taken that way anymore? Why is this not?
Yeah. Yeah. That's what scares me sometimes when I hear people. I'm very superstitious. So when I hear people say, "Oh my God, I'm just gonna kill myself," but they say it just so commonly and kind of like jokingly. They're just saying because they're overwhelmed, and
Right.
I'm just like, I please stop saying that. Not because I get offensive. It's just because I don't want you to manifest something or speak that into existence. Because I'm like, I'm a person that's I suffered with suicidal ideations for a majority of my life, and I'm just like, trust me, you don't want those words to actually be real. So stop
Right.
saying it.
Yeah.
Save yourself the trouble, please.
But
Please save yourself the trouble. I don't want no one going through this.
that's the thing. Like, we've just become so numb to it,
Mhm.
because and the other reason too is, like, with all this hedonism, dopamine addiction, whatever you want to call it, it can cause depression. It can cause anxiety. It can cause all these bad things because you're not fully feeding yourself constantly. And if you're not doing that, like any addiction, it's gonna come back and feel like withdrawal. That's how withdrawal works. And so,
Yeah,
right,
that's
and
right.
so with that, the idea. Oh, I just had another little thought piece. But oh yeah, and that's one thing that, and this one I will acknowledge the full bias, is because this idea does come from our religion, but it can attribute to anything. But we all worship something. You
Mhm.
give your devotion to something. You give your time, your money, your hands and feet, your body, whatever it might be, to something. That is your object of worship, right? Whatever you are going out of your way to engage with, that is what you quote unquote worship in that way, right? And so when you do that, if it's something that hurts you, even if it feels good, it's gonna keep hurting you, right? Like, so it, and like I said, this isn't.
Yeah, my porn addiction, even though it feels good, it's gonna keep hurting me, and it
See,
did,
and
and
that's
it
not,
does.
and like I said, it never comes from a place of judgment. It's just always a place of, like, you know,
Right,
concern for the general, I guess, human
right,
beings, because I don't know, I feel like we're worth something, you know?
right, and we're not always told that, right? We're told in order to be worth something, we have to get something, and once by the time the year's up, you'll have to, get a new thing because the new thing is now cool, and that's the one. Yeah, and that, my higher self told me, while you were speaking, it helped me verbalize, uh, something that I was trying to say. I just didn't know how to verbalize it. But basically, um, I was so caught up in the get me, get me, get me. And I'm not saying I'm fully freed from it. I
Neither am
just doing so much better. Like
I.
I would almost say like this is I'm at a pretty good spot with it. But I was so caught up in get me that I was like, you need to you're you're getting the greed, but you're not giving yourself any care, any attention, any thought. You're I'm so caught up in the get, which is outside of myself, which is an external aspect, but you're taking it to, so that's where the get comes from. And then, and I'm just like, I'm not like giving myself really anything. I'm not being present with myself. I'm not even allowing myself to be bored. It's just like I always have to. Yeah. And so recently, and by recently, dude, I mean like 2 weeks ago, I officially, especially after my suicide attempt, I officially finally started to appreciate and enjoy my boredom. I was
That's
just like,
I mean, like, I'm not saying, I'm glad it was, I'm glad you're still here, obviously, but I'm glad you're able to realize that no one can can just be bored anymore. Be bored. Be a little bored.
yeah,
It
yeah, it's
causes
okay to be bored.
it causes good things sometimes. It makes you be creative. It makes you work on something. It makes you
Yeah,
learn something. Like,
yes, the beauty and the boredom.
yeah,
Yes,
like
be bored
it's
long enough, and I promise you. And that's the thing, Daniel. I had to sit and tell myself, and I was doing it through this interactive journal notebook, folks. I mean, you buy this on Amazon, folks, your life will be changed for the better. Um, I had to tell myself, I had to sit with myself and learn some self awareness and do some self reflection and be like, what am I running from in the boredom? Why is boredom so, why do I hate boredom so much? Am I running from the feeling because it's uncomfortable? Am I running from that? Or am I running from that and something deeper? You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, I'm running for this feeling. This feeling makes me uncomfortable. But I'm like, okay, what is making that feeling happen? What is there? What is the deeper root there that, you're only seeing the branches and the leaves, and those branches and leaves looks like, oh, I don't like being bored. What's the trunk doing? What's
Mhm.
the roots doing? What's the soil looking like? What's the type of environment? What's the water going on? That is, because it came to a point where it's just like, okay, this is something I'm gonna have to dig into more of. Like the roots aren't cutting it right now. I was like, okay, I got to look at the roots and the water and the soil.
Yeah, yeah,
So it turns out, I was afraid of, and I didn't even realize it. It's just subconsciously it was a thing.
yeah.
It took a while for my conscious to realize it, but unfortunately, it also took my suicide attempt that I had February 2024. For folks who don't know, um, I was afraid, and I prided myself on so much vulnerability, yada yada yada. I'm like, this year taught me I struggle from selective vulnerability as well. But I was afraid of those thoughts winning. I was afraid of the thoughts that I was worthless. Even though when I'm not in those bored moments, I'm like, I know I'm not worthless. But in the bored moments, I'm like, I'm worthless. And so it's just like, I need to address that. I need to heal that area, or at least start to heal, or at least be aware of it, so that I can fully believe that I am worth it. You know what I mean? That I am not worthless. So I was like, what was I running from? Why is the boredom so bad?
Yeah.
And for me, it was just dark, and I didn't know why it just kept getting darker because I wasn't acknowledging, that there's even a light switch in the room. I didn't even know that I was in darkness until I got a taste of the light, and that light came from self-awareness. Oh, I just preached facts, folks, but
Uh,
Daniel's computer. Okay, what
there we go.
you're
There we go.
back.
Sorry
Oh,
about
I
that.
was saying, no, no, you're fine. I was saying that when it comes in the boredom, I was like, I I wasn't wondering why things were like getting just so dark. Why was the boredom bad? Why was the boredom bad? And so I had to do some digging, and it turns out like I didn't fully know. I didn't know that I was in the dark until I got to taste the light,
Mhm.
right? And that light was self-awareness. You know what I mean? That light was me having to hit my absolute breaking point, and my absolute breaking point is suicide. Me having to hit that breaking point in order for me to see. So it taught me also that when I'm feeling those uncomfortable feelings, when I'm running away from something, let's investigate it. Let's start to face it before it faces us. Because I'm like, if it faces me, it when it faces me, it's almost too late. It feels like. So yeah, I was like, why is boredom bad? Oh, I didn't know if you had something to say, so I'm gonna be
Oh,
quiet.
you're good. I'm no, I was just listening, and like I'm glad that you're able to have that revelation of, yeah, it's okay.
Daniel's computer is it's Daniel's computer's having a little Wi-Fi meltdown, or it's probably my on my end. But while he gets his computer back, folks, we're gonna do a little
To
stalling.
be good.
If you have
Dang,
structured
there we go.
settlements and you need cash now, oh, you're back. Okay, I was just doing some
No.
stalling. I was doing some stalling.
uh,
877 cash now.
you're good. But no, all I was saying was just like, because it's okay to be bored. It's a good thing actually. Like I said,
Yeah.
it can cause so many other good things to come out of it, and that's, see, because it's good to be introspective. It's good to know why you do the things you do and believe the things you believe and follow the things you follow. You have we like I said, and the more that we're fed things, the more that the things tell us to ignore that side of us. Sitting around being bored and thinking about your life is boring. Don't do it. Reading, certain things that might help you along your way as you try to figure out life is boring. Don't do it. Like, instead, listen to like this music, watch this TV show. And I'm not saying, again, those things aren't inherently bad, but when you're sold the idea that other forms of, I'm going to call it meditation in some way, meditation or even prayer or like something like that is straight up boring and not for you. No, that's for everyone, man. Anyone can think about their lives and think about why they are the way they are, why they do what they do.
Yeah.
It's important to
Yeah.
do that. It's important to
Yeah.
understand your morals, your virtues, your shortcomings.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
And it sucks that, and boredom also can come with just spending time with yourself. When there's nothing to do, all you have is yourself to to be with, to love, to confront, to reflect, to support, it's just you in that moment. And it just sucks that, um I spent so long, running away and or ignoring the parts of me that needed healing. See, and I'm also starting to see more of the subconscious principles in this, in the whole um when it comes to the boredom reality. Because for me, boredom was tied to me just being by myself, right? And then what was tied to me being by myself? Certain feelings, right? And then what was tied to those feelings, right? Some darkness. And so through this with this conversation, and this is also something that I wrote down in my interactive journal. So it's just like everything's are just coming full force. Folks, so if you want to have some wisdom, get this journal and write about it as well. But I though that the part of me that I didn't like needed attention the most. It needed healing and loving the most. And I'm just like, okay, this is a subconscious thing. How do I? Because that's the thing about subconscious. It's so silent, but so loud. It's there. You don't always notice it or see it right off the bat, or some people go their whole lives not noticing it. The subconscious, what it does is it permeates in other aspects throughout life. And that can be through thinking, that can be through actions, through words. And that can be a beautiful thing and a scary thing, you know. So I'm like, my parents, right? And I'm going to cite this in the subconscious. My parents, right? I was only a trophy to them, right? Especially my father, the one of the most abusive men in my life. You know, my
And
father is my sexual abuser. My father is my physical abuser. My father is my psychological, emotional abuser. You know what I mean? He's not the only one. They're all men, by the way. They're all men, but he's not the only one. But he is a big one, and so obviously, and plus they're parents, so of course they already have an impact on a child. You know, and so, I would just be a trophy to him, right? Only when I got good grades is when I got acknowledgement or when I mattered. They didn't like every aspect of me. They saw that, you know, I was a little feminine. I wasn't always ready to play football. I liked reading and writing. Maybe I didn't want to go play football. But anyways,
feel you
but it's
in that aspect.
only yeah, it's only when but what the point that I'm getting and for example, my also and this is I swear it's gonna make sense. My mother, right? When I told her about the abuse, or when I told her I had depression, what she does is she literally physically just walks away. But only I only hear congratulations when I've made an accomplishment without her encouragement because she just puts people down. That's what she does. It's literally that's her subconscious. She puts herself down. So she just projects that. But the point is I was subconsciously taught and internalized, you know, um only like the good parts of yourself. Don't like your full self. Daniel, is your thing frozen? Oh, it's not.
No, no, no. I'm
Sorry. I was just making sure. You know, don't like the parts of you that just need a hug. Don't, you know, don't like those parts, right? Because you've had two examples walk away from you when you showed those parts, you know, when you showed your full self. So I went throughout life, you know, and I just recently, by recently, I mean this past year, especially after my attempt, that just really made things go full fledged. I just recently learned, you know what I mean? That for so long in life, I always was attracted to people that I had to work for their love. I always internalized that I am too much because parents walked away when it was their responsibility to stay. You know, I internalized that, right?
Mhm.
And I did all this self work, right? All this healing, all this therapy. And then, and I thought I was healing everything, right? There's that small part that I wasn't healing, and that part over time grew and became darker. And that part, I only could find that part that I needed to heal. I only could find that in the boredom. I was too busy trying to push away the boredom, but the boredom, I needed that. I needed the healing. That was my body trying to wake me up and love myself enough to say, don't ignore us like the parents did. Do not do that. We need you. We need a hug. And so after the suicide attempt, I've been treating myself, you know, how I would a child. I hug me. I speak so kindly to me. I am a great father. Everyone says it. Everyone says that I am father material. They say I'm wifey material for a husband, but I'm father material for children. And I'm just like, that is really true, actually. That is, I'm like, you're spot on, honestly. I'm like, I didn't even see that like that until y'all kept saying it. So I'm like, okay, go me. But the point that I'm trying to make is when I see myself getting bored now, and by now I mean like today, the present moment, especially these past 2 weeks. I this has never happened before in my life. I've just been sitting more and more with myself, being present with myself, loving myself, just that boredom possesses so much beauty. I just had to get past the little uncomfort, bored feelings for a little bit. But I'm like, with patience, you can publish a whole journal, folks, because that's exactly where this journal came from. It came from the moments of boredom. Seriously, I was I was so caught up with everything. I was not spending time with myself like I was supposed to be doing. Um, and so that's why this book took 2 years to publish. 3 years now, excuse me. I talked about this in 2021. This book was supposed to come out in 2021. Um, but because I got bored, right? Because I graduated and got bored, I love myself so differently and so much better now. And the book is finally here, all because of the boredom. So the point that I'm trying to make, folks, is there's beauty in the boredom. You are worth confronting every aspect of yourself. You are worth understanding every aspect of yourself. You are worth the love. This is the thing. It is not true love if someone just loves 50% of you. No, if they're going to love you, they're going to love all of you. You are worth all the love, folks. The shadow part, the parts that you're hiding, the parts that you think are awful, you are worth the love, okay? As you are. You don't have to be perfect in order to be worth it. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Wow. Daniel, I have one more quick thing. Do you have literally 10 more minutes?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, I don't know if you heard of Viktor Frankl.
Have I think so? Who is that?
uh, Beats me. I just know his quote and I know he's famous in the philosophy world.
Okay.
But his quote said, and it's remind I when I was on the phone with you when we were doing like, a little chat about, how the podcast is going to work and stuff like that,
Mhm.
because you've never been on before. Um, I was wanting to ask you and just start conversating because you're just such a easy aura and a very comfortable aura
Nice.
for me. My vibrations and my energies, they feel safe around you. And when I first met you, that was huge because my energies and vibrations didn't always feel safe around males. You know,
I
they
got
felt defense. They felt defensive. But um, Viktor Frankl said, people distract themselves from they just people distract themselves with. One second, I let me be quiet. I got it. One
You're
second, I'm
good.
pulling
I
this
do the
up.
same thing in class. I do the same thing
Okay,
in class. I'm like, hey kids, here's this quote. Wait, oh, let me look it up before I mess it up.
gotta look it up. Right. Ooh, that poetry. Look it up before I mess it up. Poetry. Okay, let me see what he said. Daniel, while I go ahead and look for that, please go ahead and stall for
Oh
just a little
yes.
bit.
So yeah.
Because Daniel, it is to my understanding that folks that have a long structured settlement and need cash now,
Can
I
call.
think,
Can we advertise this on your podcast, or is this just?
yeah, yeah, you can. It's just I just won't get money for it because it's not an
Eight
official ad.
877
That's
cats now. That's what
shut the
we
fuck
do.
up. He has his cat and said 877 cat now. You are a freaking legend. Man. Oh, I'm
Oh, let's see.
sorry.
So this is Ink, everyone. Ink, you're now famous. Here you go.
Now for the folks who were just listening, only can you describe the cat to us?
Oh, he's just a nice black cat with some socks. He's got some white socks.
That's racist. No, I'm just
Oh
kidding.
no!
No, let me, let me cancel you.
I was gonna say,
Okay.
about to get canceled. Oh crap!
LOL. LOL. Let me stop poking fun at society sometimes. Okay. So it says when a person can't find, this is what Viktor Frankl said, folks. When a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure.
Yes,
Hmm.
yes. What does what does your life mean? What do you want to have said you've fulfilled at the end of your life? Right? And that's the big thing that we don't really focus on. We all are nihilists without acknowledging it.
Mm.
It's like, or I say all, of course not all, but like I say,
A lot of us.
the permeating atmosphere of not caring about what you believe, what you're, what you follow, what you worship, what you give your time towards, right, is detrimental and becomes that, right? It really, it becomes, you know, this. Could you say it one more time? Could you read that quote one more time?
Of course, Viktor Frankl is my husband. So this is his exact words. He first says, Josias is my husband, end quote. And then the next quote is, when a person can't find a deep sense of meaning, they distract themselves with pleasure. Viktor Frankl.
Right. Yeah, and like I said, yeah, and like I said, all that just rings really true, and that's, I find that to be a very true statement. We, like I said, we when we live in this certain way, just fully like searching for pleasure, searching for dopamine, searching for a hedonistic lifestyle. Yeah, what does your life mean at that point? What is your life mean? I'm not saying your life's worthless. Obviously not. You're a human being, and
Right, right,
every but
right.
yeah, what does your life mean? What does it
Yeah, to be some
mean
more
to live the
awareness
life
of
that
what
you
it
have?
means to you.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
There's a lot of meaning in the boredom. There's a lot
Yes,
of meaning
there
you can
is.
find in that boredom.
There's plenty. And it
Yeah.
sounds surprising. Like it sounds like we're selling someone something. Like, yeah, hey, just sit down there and wait. You know.
Boredom. Free 99. Free 99.
Right? But no, it's not BS. It's genuine, you know,
Yeah.
you don't have to call it meditation, you don't have to call it prayer, but just sitting with yourself and thinking, using that journal,
Yeah.
using that book, reading through reading through whatever helps you, and understanding, like, okay, maybe reading a good book and reading through that book and going, okay, what jumps out at me and why does it jump out at me like that?
Yeah.
Why do certain quotes hit me versus other things,
Yeah.
and so
Oh, and here's another question to add to there is, who am I? Who is Josiah? Or just, sitting. Sorry, there was a gnat flying around. It keeps going to my selfie lighting, and it's all. Sorry, I had to.
you're good.
Sorry, I distracted. But yeah, that's another question that I thought of. But yes, continue, Daniel.
Yeah. No, that was that, like I said, that was a big, that was the main thing, was just we it's not that, of course there's the age old idea, and speaking to the secular idea of, yeah, you can always create your own meaning, but make sure it's at least grounded in something,
Mm.
some kind of idea, or goal, or desire to live a certain way, like, let it be, let it mean more than just, you know I want things. That's hollow.
Yeah,
It's nothing.
right,
That's a nothing thing.
right, right,
Um,
right. That surface level. Where's the substance? Where's
where's
the
the substance?
substance?
And that's just like, yeah, like when I'm grading essays, right? It's just like, where's the meat on the bone? Like,
Yeah,
it's you need to give more in some way, and I think in doing that, you'll not only help yourself, you'll end up helping other people, because you gotta work on yourself first, right? So you gotta, of course, look out for others, but heal yourself. And in healing yourself, as others work to heal themselves, you can be a confidant, you can be someone to assist, but you won't know a lot of this, and you won't be able to do a lot of it effectively unless you know yourself, you know so, and
right, right.
attach to yourself some semblance of meaning grounded in something.
Yes. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Daniel, thank you so much. I
Thank
know we're
you.
wrapping up on time here, but uh, I mean, this has been such a. Let me personalize this. Daniel, your conversation, your words, they have been so liberating to me. I needed to hear. There were two things that you said that I need. That you said multiple things that I really enjoyed and needed to hear, but there are two things that you said that I literally needed to hear today
Thank
because of a conversation that I had with myself last night. And
thank you.
so it wasn't the best conversation. I'll say that. But I did catch myself and I started speaking to myself with grace. So I'm proud of me. That's huge because I remembered I was like, I'm just a grown-up child. Uh, you would not speak to a child like this, Josias.
Yeah,
So speak kindly like you would to a child because you know how to love. You know how to love kids. But yeah, Daniel, man, thank you for you just provided such healing for
thank you.
me.
I'm
You've
wow.
really helped trigger a lot of healing
Thank you.
for
And
me.
I want to express that to you as well. Thank you for having me on this and having this platform in general to be able to express these ideas, express these things. I don't get to talk about this a lot, you know. It kind of just stays with me. Uh
Welcome home.
Because thanks. Well, because a lot of it, and like I said, that's why I kept having little caveats to what I was saying and being kind of careful like that, because it comes off as slightly judgmental. But like I said, I never want it to be that. Want it to be more of a thought piece, a
Right.
just thoughts of maybe we should do things a bit differently.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not the
Yeah.
healthiest society. Stuff
Right.
like that.
Right.
And that it's all of us together. It's all of us together.
Yeah.
You and me, our friends, our neighbors, our families, our whoever we choose to have in our lives. It's all of us, and we start small. You know, we start
Yeah.
small, start where we can. So, but yeah, thank you as well. I really do appreciate you having me on.
You know what? I received that, Daniel. I received your words. Little Josias receives those words as well. And we thank
But
you.
thank you.
Um, alrighty, folks. Um, prank call show coming soon. Hello, everyone. Before we end the video, I would love to announce, and I am proud to announce that my second book is available now on Amazon. It is called Wounds into Wisdom: Self Awareness Interactive Journal Notebook with Prompts. If you love learning about yourself, if you want to go into more self awareness. If you want to talk to your inner child, if you want to just talk to yourself and, you know, uh, find out new things, this journal notebook with prompts is for you. It is interactive. It has spaces where you can, doodle or draw anything that symbolizes, the prompt. Um, you are able to interact and conversate with these prompts in the journal notebook. And it also has space at the end for you to just journal if you would like to just journal. But yes, these prompts in the book are very wise and thought provoking. Um, it will make you think, I have never thought about that before. I did not recognize that in my life until now. These will blow your mind. These will drop your jaw in a good way. In a good way. But yes, the link to purchase the book it's on Amazon. The link will be in the episode description below. Also, thank y'all so much for making it to the end of this episode. I challenge you to send this podcast to at least one person. You never know whose life you are going to save by sending this podcast because they might send it to someone else who really needed to hear it, and that person's life will be saved. Because remember the point of this podcast, um, in general, vulnerability time is what if someone's on their way home to end their lives, but because they listened to a special guest or to me, because they listened, they decide to live, even if it's just a little bit longer. This is a life-saving podcast, folks. And yeah, thank y'all so much. And I will see y'all next time for whatever episode that will be, because this is a pre-recorded outro. Already love y'all tons. Stay amazing. I'm proud of you for still breathing on this earth.